Hello. So I'm going to just run through a number of the things that I deal with in my one-to-one coaching as a breakup and divorce coach. My name is Stanway. I have been a psychotherapist for 25 years and a divorce coach for about 10 at least of those years. I trained with Sarah Davison and her practitioner and her master prac course, which gave me specific training in domestic abuse, coercive control. Prior to that, my degrees in philosophy and psychology, my training as a hypnotherapist, all fed into my passion of understanding the way that we think and the way that we talk and how they impact on each other. So I thought it would be useful today to just dive into some of the situations that I deal with on a daily basis with my one-to-one clients. And I wanted to do that because people don't really know what a divorce and breakup coach does. So I thought, well, if I give you a little spotlight into my day-to-day life with a series of short videos that I'm going to put out on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and wherever it is that they all go, then that would let you know a little bit about what I do. So I'll give you an example from today. I had a client message me today. Part of the way that I work, I have sessions, usually 2 sessions a month, 90-minute sessions to about 2-hour sessions with my clients, where we go through what's going on and we go through the key issues and creating a action plan for what to do forwards. And then in between that, my clients can contact me by voice note, text, email, WhatsApp, message, whatever really suits them, Voxer if that's better for them. Some people DM me, all the different ways that we can contact each other. Anyway, one of my clients today contacted me because her partner has accused her of holding a boundary. So her and I have been discussing ways that she can state what matters to her using the techniques that I have in my book, which is clarify what it is that you want to say, communicate it, i.e. say very, very clearly what it is that you want to say, and then correct, which is when it goes wrong, because it always does go wrong, because people get defensive and, it takes a while for people to hear stuff actually. Then you use correct, so you repeat it. So my client has been accused by her partner of being controlling. So what's happened is this: she has stated a boundary, which is that she doesn't like to be spoken to in a particular way. She doesn't like when she puts the food down on the table when she's been cooking for the first comments to be criticism about the food. Oh, it doesn't look very nice. It doesn't look very fresh. Why have you cooked with these ingredients? Why haven't you cooked that? She doesn't like that. So she's putting a boundary down and saying, when I cook, I would like it to be acknowledged that I'd cooked, appreciated that I'd cooked, and at least the food to be tasted before any criticism comes. But any criticism actually may not be appropriate. Anyway, so she was told by her partner when she put this boundary down that was her being controlling. He said, you are trying to control my enjoyment of the food. So he has now made a counter accusation that she is being controlling by her putting down a boundary, asking to food that she provides to the family, especially in front of the kids, to be met respectfully. So now she messaged me and said, I'm really, really worried that when I hold a boundary, I am being controlling, because that's what my partner's telling me. Well, here's the thing. She is being controlling. And I want to encourage people when they hold a boundary and they get accused of being controlling to say, yeah, I am. I am being controlling. I am controlling my space. I am controlling my social, emotional, intellectual, physical, perhaps, space. And I am controlling it. That is what putting a boundary is. It is asserting control in my life. Because if somebody is complaining that you're being controlling when you're given a boundary, then that means that they don't want you to have boundaries. And that means the relationship isn't healthy. And that's important to know. The nature of boundaries, the finesse, the importance of what a boundary is no different than if you imagine you're in your garden and there's a boundary dispute with your neighbour about where the fence post should be. Boundaries are contentious. Okay, that is why fields have got fences and stone walls around them. That is why houses have got front doors. That is why gardens have got fences in between the neighbours' gardens. That's why there's a law about who owns which side of the fence. Because boundaries are contentious. Because the minute that we're giving somebody a boundary, we are saying no. Or we are saying only with permission. So in that moment, we are being controlling. And that's a good thing. But if when we are being controlling, we are being accused of being controlling, then the fact that it's an accusation creates that implication that it isn't okay to hold a boundary. And it is when we accept that implication that it isn't okay to hold a boundary, it is in that moment that coercion begins to take place. If I'm beginning to work with a couple, and sometimes I do work with couples, and there are constant boundary disputes, that is a sign that the relationship isn't healthy. Because our ability to respect each other's boundaries is the same as our ability to live in a neighbourly situation with our neighbours. And if we have a neighbour who comes out at night and moves the boundary posts and makes our garden more and more small, then that's a breach of a boundary. So when you are holding a boundary, if somebody is accusing you of holding a boundary, then that's a sign the relationship is unhealthy. But then let's flip that the other way around. So say your partner or your ex is saying, well, I have a right to demand this because that's my boundary. Well, again, we're going to have to say, okay, that is your boundary, but that isn't a boundary I can live with. It's not a boundary I can manage. It's not a boundary that's given me any space to be. And at that moment, you've got a disagreement. And when we have disagreements in relationship, it's not about one person surrendering and the other person getting their way. What it's about is understanding that if we can't live in a healthy way respecting each other's boundaries, then that means that the relationship isn't safe, it isn't secure. So there's a lot of complexity, and that is why when I'm offering my coaching, I'm offering this opportunity to kind of have these discussions over voice notes, over emails, over texts, in between the sessions, because this area of communication, what it is, how it's working, that what is reasonable, what isn't reasonable, and how you deal with it is tricky. It's difficult. It's contentious. It's technical, actually. And by working with a divorce coach who understands these issues, what can happen is that your skills improve so that you have a better idea how to deal with things. And your radar, if you like, your ability to recognise and understand when things are going wrong gets a little bit better. Now, if you are a parent, it is really, really natural. Like, kids are meant to push our boundaries. That is what they are supposed to do. And here's a real ironic thing. The more you teach your kids that boundaries are important, the more they're going to hold boundaries with you. And the more they're going to try and find out what you do when they push against your boundaries. But it's different then because they're children. So boundaries are technical. They're very, very difficult. I talk about them in my book, Conversations at the Shoreline. I am going to be talking about them a lot in my upcoming challenge, Dare to Speak, Conversations at the Shoreline, which is the challenge that goes with the course that's at the back of my book. Because learning how to hold a boundary really effectively, I think, takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of skill. I don't believe it's something that can be self-taught. I think it's better learning how to do that. And I'm going to talk a lot more in videos about this. I'm going to talk on my challenge. I'm going to put the link below. It is on the 4th to the 6th of August at 10 a.m. for about an hour. And we're going to talk, I'm going to talk, and I'm going to encourage you to think about the technical skill of holding boundaries. And I'm just going to leave you with this one thought. If you understood boundaries and you knew how to hold them in a really calm way, how would that change your life? How would that change your day-to-day interactions? What difference would it make? And I think you'll agree it would make quite a big difference. So I hope you can join me on the 4th. Take care, and I look forward to creating my next video. Bye-bye.